I knew it when I met her, she was trouble. I loved her when she couldn't keep her hands off me.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Ask Jazz. Today I'm gonna just film something a little different. I've been absent from social media, and that includes Instagram and YouTube, for about a week or so, and there's a reason. So I think I'm ready to talk about it. So I have a confession to make. I am actually going through something that I guess it's just safe to say millions of other women, probably teenagers too, are dealing with. And it's called PCOS. If you don't know what PCOS means, it means polycystic ovarian syndrome. So today I just wanted to tell my story and how it affects me and how I'm dealing with it. So stay tuned. Okay, so welcome back. So I'm going to tell you my PCOS story, how I'm dealing with it, how it affects me, and what steps am I taking to kind of overcome and deal with some of the symptoms that is kind of bringing me down a little bit right now. PCOS is something that don't really go away. It's something I've been dealing with for years, diagnosed and undiagnosed. So, excuse me. Let's see where to start. I'll say I started experiencing symptoms around after the birth of my first daughter. So I do have kids. I have 3 girls. So I was able to have children, but it didn't happen like you think it did. They are spaced apart. And I'll get to that in a second. But so it happened after the birth of my second child. I ended up getting pregnant right out of high school. Wasn't the best decision that I made, but it's my child. I love her. My daughter, she's 11 years old. So this was 11 years old. 11 years ago, I mean. So, kind of, it's a little, you know, different to be talking about this. I don't really talk about it. But yeah, I'm going to go there today. Okay, so bear with me, please. So I was 19 when I started experiencing symptoms, and it started right after I gave birth. I had a C-section, so cesarean section, and a couple weeks after I given birth, and I'm warning you, it's gonna get a little graphic because PCOS is graphic. I started to bleed very heavily. And this is something that I've never experienced before. So I was a little concerned. So I called my nurse. And I think I was maybe, I want to say about 4 or 5 weeks postpartum after delivery. So she was still fairly young. So I was bleeding really heavy. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't get any signs. It didn't feel like, you know, like my period was coming or anything like that. So it was kind of, you know, weird. Like I woke up one morning and, like I said, it's going to get graphic. And I stood up and I can just feel blood just gushing down my legs. And I'm like, my 19-year-old self, I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm looking at, like, what the heck, because I was shaking. Like, I was so confused. I was scared. Like, I was scared. I didn't know what was happening. Because after I gave birth, I had to stay in the hospital about almost an extra week because I had developed an infection. So I didn't know if it was something that had to do with that or anything else. So I was scared. So I called the nurse and she was like, "Oh, it's normal and it's nothing to worry about. You just starting your period." You know, she just kind of brushed me off, and I didn't really want to talk to a nurse. I'd rather talk to a doctor. You know, honestly speaking, but you know, nurse is the first person that you have to talk to because you before you get to the doctor, because your doctor don't answer the phone. You know, so you have to kind of go through a nurse unless it's something more serious, and then the doctor will call you back. So at that time, the nurse kind of just told me, "Oh, it's nothing serious," you know, kind of brushed it off. So, you know, I kind of dealt with it, and at that time, I decided to take birth control pills. So she's like, "Just go ahead and start your pills, and um, it's just your period starting back. Every time you have a child, your period is new, it's different. So your period is different now." So I'm like, okay. So, I was like, okay. So I went thinking for years that after you have a child, it's like your body starts over brand new and your period is different after every time you have a child. So if you were used to having a normal cycle, then after you have a child, your cycle may be different, you know, so to speak. So I was used to having a normal cycle. I mean, I was a teenager. I wasn't having anything irregular going on. So I was thinking, okay, so now as an adult, I'm going to have an irregular cycle. So this is different for me. Okay, so moving on. When I started experiencing more symptoms, I would say I was about 21, 22. I was working somewhere in, I was working in the office, and, you know, when you work in the office, you are sitting down sedentary, you know, you're not really moving around a lot. So I was eating out a lot. I was eating a lot of fast food, but I was also bringing my lunch as well. And me personally, I'm a picky eater, so my eating habits really didn't change. So I just noticed that I gained weight, which really seemed like it was kind of out of nowhere. It was like one day my clothes didn't fit, which I knew that it was, you know, that quick, but it just seemed like it was like overnight in my mind. So it's like I went from wearing a large to I didn't know what size I wore at that point. I just knew that none of my clothes fit. So I kind of went through like this depression because I'm 30. So back then, you know, when I was 21, 22, I mean, it doesn't seem like that long ago, but plus size shopping was not like it is now. There wasn't any online stores like there are now. I don't even think Torrid was in Birmingham. I don't know if it existed or it just wasn't in my state. But what we had was like JCPenney, Macy's, places like that. And for me, I felt like, not to offend anybody, but they had like a lot of floral, a lot of unflattering clothing options. And for me, as a young 20-something, I felt like it was kind of too old, so to speak, like a little grandma-ish. So it wasn't anything that I wanted to wear. It wasn't my style. Like, I was used to shopping at like Forever 21, walking into Old Navy and picking up an outfit, which I still could have picked up an outfit, but I definitely at this point had to try on everything that I bought before I purchased it, because At this time, I didn't know my body. I realized that clothes fit differently, and I didn't know how things would fit, so I couldn't just walk in the store and pick up something and take it home and think I'm just gonna instantly wear it. So it was really tough for me. Like, I went through a really tough period because I didn't want to go out in public because I didn't feel confident. Like, I didn't feel like my clothes fit me right. I didn't have anything that I liked, that I thought was cute. I was wearing a lot of dresses because that was something that was easy. It was hard to shop for pants. It was just really hard, you know. And I was really confused because I didn't understand what was happening, you know. So while that was happening, I realized that my period was doing like this weird cycle where it would either not come for months at a time, or I would have a period for months at a time. Now, I'm not talking about like a light period where you could just wear, you know, a panty liner and you're just spotting. No, I'm talking about like a heavy period where you have to wear a pad or 2 pads sometimes. And think about doing that for months. Like, women, you know, like, if you even have like a 5 to 7 day cycle, you know that it gets annoying wearing pads every single day. You just waiting for that cycle to be over. So imagine doing that for months. Okay, so I decided to see a doctor. I decided to see a specialist, and hopefully, I was hoping to gain like some info, some perspective, something like let me know that I'm not crazy and that I'm not by myself, and you know, I needed something. So I went to see this one doctor, and she had really high reviews, so I looked her up online. So she spent most of the time talking about herself, her background, like her medical background, and where she went to school, and just mostly about herself. And the exam really took literally 5 minutes because I went in a room, I undressed my bottom half, and she, you know, did an exam on my, you know, vagina, and she basically was like, I don't see anything. She didn't run any tests. She didn't do any blood work. She didn't ask me a lot of questions. And then that was it. That was the end of the appointment. And I had to pay my copay. So that was a bust. And it left me feeling even worse because I'm like, maybe it is just me. Like, maybe I'm just tripping. Maybe I'm stressed. Maybe, you know, it's just my body. My body is just, maybe I messed up my body. Maybe I need another one, you know? So, at one point I started, you know, a couple years down the line, I started bleeding heavily again. And I had been doing so much research on Google that I just felt like I just knew everything about PCOS. So, at this point, I decided to go to my local health department because I knew that if I got birth control pills, that it would stop the bleeding. And at this point, I was bleeding for so long, I just wanted anything to stop it. Like, I didn't care. Like, I didn't want to be on birth control pills because I didn't necessarily agree with, you know, everything about birth control pills, but I just wanted that to stop. So I went to my appointment, and I was seen by a nurse practitioner. She was actually new there. I think I was maybe like her first patient. And I was telling her my symptoms, and I was telling her what I've been researching, and I was telling her what I thought. So she examined me thoroughly. And she was like asking me questions, and, you know, at the computer typing everything in that I was saying, and she was really listening. And I was like, wow, like, I didn't expect this from the health department. Like the other doctor that I seen was at like this great hospital. She had all these credentials. I would expect this from her, but not my local health department. Because like really, what you think? You think about the county. You think that they don't care. You're just a number, and they just diagnose you or just deal with you and then go on about your way. So, but no, she actually made me feel like she cared. And this was something that she hadn't really heard of. So she was curious to see what I had to say. So she was asking me about everything, asking me, was this like a symptom that I looked up? And I'm like, yes, like I'm saying, like, yes, all these things are symptoms of PCOS. And I'm trying to find out if there's something that I have. I've been researching this for a very long time. I told her about my other experience with the other doctor, how I left with no answers. So she let me know that she was a nurse practitioner, and she was actually there because someone else was out and they needed a fill-in. So what she did was she referred me to the endocrinologist that's there at the health department. So I've never heard of an endocrinologist, and I was like, okay, if it helps. So she was like, I can give you the pills. I can give you the birth control pills to make you stop bleeding. I know it'll make you stop bleeding, but I want you to not have birth control pills in your system when you come back. So it's your choice. When you do your blood work, I don't want this to be in your system because it may alter your hormones and your lab work may not be clear. So I listened to her. I was like, you know what? I've been dealing with this for this long. I can wait, another week until I see the specialist, and maybe she can offer something else. So I thanked her and I left, and I waited the week, and I saw the endocrinologist, and we talked, and she examined me, and she had the nurses run like several tests, different blood work. It was like several vials that she had them fill up. She asked me a series of questions. She examined me. So after she was done with the examination, she asked me what did I want to do with the bleeding. I told her I really, really want to stop bleeding. And it was like consuming my life at that point, because it had been months of just bleeding for no reason. It was just affecting me heavily, and I was like, it was draining me. At this point I had to start taking iron pills. So she was like, well, how about this? I will prescribe you birth control pills. But if it does come back that you have PCOS, then I want to talk to you about other options. So I was like, okay. At this point, I was ready to take something. I was ready to stop bleeding. I was done. So got the prescription pills. Started, taking the pills and everything. Stopped bleeding after a couple days. She called me back with my results. She'd say, hey, your test came back. Your hormones and everything are out of whack. It looks like you do have PCOS. So she wanted to schedule me for a ultrasound to see if I had cysts. But I don't remember what happened with that. I don't know if I didn't follow through with the appointment. I don't remember what happened with that. But I never did get an ultrasound at that point. So, couple months down the road. Okay, so she gave me a prescription for 3 months for birth control pills. So I took the pills for 3 months. And then once it was up, I ended up getting pregnant instantly. When I tell you instantly, I mean instantly. Apparently the birth control pills made me falsely ovulate, and that caused me to get pregnant. So this was 5 years apart from my first pregnancy. So my daughter was, my oldest daughter was about to start kindergarten, and finding out I'm pregnant. And it's not like, my boyfriend and I were having protected sex, because we wasn't. We weren't having protected sex. So it was a chance that I could have gotten pregnant, but I just didn't. All that time I didn't. So, call the endocrinologist, tell her that I'm pregnant. So I had to end up seeing, someone else through my pregnancy. So skip through that. After I have my daughter, I was feeling okay, but then the bleeding started back. So I contacted the endocrinologist again, and started back seeing her, and she actually prescribed me metformin at that point, I want to say. And this is like a year or so after I had my daughter. So she prescribes me metformin. I started out taking 2,000 milligrams a day. She also wanted me to see it was like a group for pre-diabetes or something like that. It was like some type of medical group. I want to say they were like medical students, where they would have me come in on like a monthly basis, and they would have me create this food calendar and just talk about how the metformin is going and how my eating's going and all that. Because when you have PCOS, it can make you pre-diabetic, if not diabetic. It causes you to gain weight and makes it hard for you to get it off. It also affects your hormones. It affects your sleep. It basically controls your whole body. Like anything that prevents you from having a normal life, basically, PCOS would have something to do with it. And that's the part where a lot of people don't understand. Like, you grow extra body hair. You can, like, I think I started snoring. So it's a lot, that PCOS is responsible for. So, long story short, I ended up getting pregnant on the metformin because I didn't realize that it makes you fertile. Yeah. So I ended up getting pregnant with my third daughter. This is 3 girls now. So with my third daughter, I decided that I wanted to get my tubes tied. So, I wondered that if getting my tubes tied what would happen with the symptoms of PCOS. Well, let me tell you now, nothing. It's still going strong, if not worse. I'm now I have hypertension. I am considered to be a diabetic. I have severe sleep apnea. And a lot of things. And it causes, I don't know if it is the cause, but I've definitely dealt with my fair share of anxiety and depression, dealing with PCOS. And hot flashes. Oh my God, like, I sweat so much now. Like, before, when I was younger, I didn't really sweat as much, but as an adult, like, I sweat so freaking much, like, especially in my sleep. Like, I can wake up in the middle of the night and touch my skin and it feels like I just got out of the bathtub. Like, I sweat so freaking much, like, out of nowhere. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I don't understand, but yeah, that, dealing with that. Um, it's just, it makes me emotional because I've read that if you have PCOS, you can potentially pass it to your daughters. And I have 3 daughters, and I don't want them to go through this at all. Like, at all. Especially with what I'm dealing with now. Fast forward, so recently, this was last Thursday. Not Thursday, just passed, but a week ago. Um, I've I started to experience like cramping in my abdominal area, and I was on my period, and it was like really really heavy, like super heavy, and I'm thinking like the cramping had something to do with that. So my period ended Wednesday night, and then Thursday morning I woke up and my underwear was like drenched in blood. It was like soaked in blood. And it was so weird because it didn't get on my bed sheets or anything. It wasn't anything, like, it was just my underwear. So I went to the bathroom and I like sat down on the toilet because I had to use the bathroom, and I felt something like fall out of my vagina, and I heard it hit the water in the toilet. So I'm like, what the heck is that? So I proceed to get, ready for the rest of my day. I take a shower and everything, get the kids ready. And I just started like cramping, like throughout the day. And I'm like, what's going on? And it was like more so centered around my belly button. So I just found myself like rubbing my stomach like all, day. And I'm thinking like, okay, so that happened this morning. Maybe my period wasn't, gone or whatever. So I went to the bathroom because I had put on the tampon and a pad because I didn't know what. And I took both of them out, and there was nothing on it. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like, is it playing a trick on me? I don't understand. So I put on another pad just to be safe because I didn't want any surprises. Got ready to change that. Nothing on it. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? I'm still cramping. I didn't cramp really much through my period, but it's like all of a sudden now I'm cramping. So cramping all through Thursday. Friday I didn't go to work. All 3 of my kids had appointments, dentist appointments. So I had to deal with that, and I'm still cramping. It's like in my belly button area. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So of course Google is my friend. So I started Googling, and different things coming up. It could be my appendix. It could be this and that, and then something else came up, and it said something about ovarian cyst. So I was like, it stayed in the back of my mind. So everything else seemed a little outlandish. So it was like between appendicitis and cyst. So my kids went off to grandma's Friday night, and I'm still cramping. It was getting worse. It got to the point where like I couldn't eat. Like I was nauseous. I was so uncomfortable. It kept waking me up out of my sleep. And then when I go to use the bathroom, it would make me cramp even more. So I'm like, what is going on? So Saturday morning I woke up, put on some sweatpants, t-shirt, and just went to the hospital. Like I just went. My husband was still asleep. I just went to the hospital because I just could not take it anymore. So get to the emergency room, and I'm seen right away. I'm in the room waiting. Of course, the doctor come in, nurse come in, ask me questions. Doctor come in, tell him what's going on. So he tells me that he's gonna run a series of tests, blood, related tests, urine tests, and he wants to also do a CT scan. So I'm like, okay. So they come in. I had been holding my urine all night, and I got up to get ready to go to ER. So I was like, I figured they probably would want me to pee in a cup, so I didn't use the bathroom. So I was like, can I please go use the restroom? So if you need me to urinate in a cup, let me go ahead and get that out the way. So I come back, they do an IV, and they take like a series of vials of blood for the test. Um, and my appendix was slightly swollen. So he didn't want to rule out that I could possibly have appendicitis, with the risk of me actually going home and, you know, my appendix rupture or something like that. So he said that he was going to bring in a surgeon, and they were going to talk it over and look over all my results and figure it out. So the surgeon comes in, and he tells me that I don't have appendicitis, and that they found a 4 centimeter cyst on my right ovary. So they prescribed me some pain pills and something for nausea. And they send me home and he tells me that he doesn't want me to work for the next 2 days, which I wasn't, because it was like the weekend, and you know, I don't work on the weekend, so I could go home and take it easy. But I had to work Monday. But I ended up not going in because the nausea medicine they gave me ended up giving me like a migraine that lasted like 2 days. So there's no way that I could go to work, and plus I had a sick child, so I ended up staying home. But yeah, so right now I am waiting to see my endocrinologist to figure out what the next step is for the cyst that I have, because it could possibly mean surgery, or I don't know if she has like another option. We haven't went there yet, so that's kind of where I am right now. And I've been absent because I've been cramping. Like, I've still been cramping. I've been dealing with it because I don't like to take the pain pills that they gave me during the day, because it makes me drowsy, and I want to be up and aware because I have to drive in traffic, and I work on computers all day, and it's boring enough. I don't want a pill making it worse, you know. So that's kind of what I'm at. I've been in a lot of pain. I've been really nauseous. My appetite has been really not good. I've been coming home and just coming to bed, really. So I figured that I'll talk about it today. I've been feeling okay today for the most part. I don't know what tomorrow could be. It's been really rough, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been really nervous and scared because I've never had this happen to me, and I don't know what they expect, and God forbid that it ruptures, because if it ruptures, I would definitely have to go to the emergency room, because it can be possibly poison, you know, in the cyst. And that can just open up a whole nother can of worms. So that's something that I don't want. So I've been trying not to Google and call my doctor as much, but I've been worrying a lot, and I'm really scared. PCOS is very unpredictable. That's one way I can put it, because it has not been the same. Like, I feel like every year is something new. Every year is something new, and I don't know what to do. Frankly, I'm tired of it. I hate the fact that there's no cure. I know that there are a lot of women that are going through worse things than me. Like, I actually was able to have kids, luckily. There's some women that can't do that. They want kids so bad, you know. And I don't feel guilty, you know, because this is my life and that's theirs. But it's just crazy because this is, I don't even know what to call it. Like, is it a disease, or it's something that women get that men don't get, and it affects us. And, you know, I hate to say it, but a lot of men don't understand because they think that we're just being, you know, emotional, or we're being hypochondriacs, or we're being paranoid, and you know, all of the above. And it's really that bad, you know. Um, when you can't sleep, where you waking up at 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning, like I do. Um, when every time you go to the doctor, is you always having to take some new medication, like I do. Um, when it affects your weight, like me. When it affects your mood. When you don't feel like a woman because you are developing like this body hair and facial hair, and you have to constantly get waxed and shaved, and it's just annoying because I'm telling you, like, if you don't know about PCOS, please do your research, ask your doctor, find out as much as you can. But if this is something that you are going through, you are not alone. Trust me. You are not alone. You know, it's tough because it's not cancer, but it could potentially lead to cancer. You know, it could potentially lead to ovarian cancer or cervical cancer. So, for anybody out there that's dealing with PCOS, please email me. Let me know your story, or comment down below. Let's talk about it. You know, this is something that I don't really talk about because I don't have anybody to talk about this with. I don't have anybody else in my family that has PCOS. I have PCOS and I'm dealing with it, you know, the best way I can. And I pray that my kids don't get it because they are female and I have it. So, maybe I didn't touch on all the points. Hopefully I touched on some where you kind of get it. But at the same time, this is my story at the most part, from as much as I can vocalize. Because I feel like it's still so much. That's why I feel like we should have like an open conversation, an open discussion. That would be more easier than me just talking to you through a camera. But I've joined some PCOS support groups on Facebook. But I don't mind us, you know, creating our own, you know, on Facebook or on here, on YouTube. So please just reach out to me. My email's below. All my social media information is below. I want to talk about it. I want to know your story. I want to know how it's affecting you today and how it has affected you in the past and how you're dealing with it. Maybe we can offer some support to each other, because I don't have all the answers, and as you can see, I'm dealing with it. People joke about like getting a hysterectomy. Oh, you should get a hysterectomy. We'll alleviate your problem. I'm 30 years old. Okay, I don't want to get a hysterectomy. You know, people are like, oh, what? You don't need them. What? It's not that easy, and you know, it's debatable, whatever. But I feel like I'm still young and viable. So, like I said, please comment below if you have any questions, or if you have any advice for me. Email me. Contact me through all my social medias. And have a good day. Bye.